Imagine helping build one of the biggest secrets in human history and having absolutely no idea you were doing it. Not because you were evil, not because you were in some dark room with powerful people, not because you signed your soul away under a blood moon. You just had a job. You turned a dial, you moved a box, you filed paperwork, you shared a post, you laughed at a meme, and somehow, without realizing it, you helped a machine much bigger than yourself keep moving. That sounds impossible, but it has happened before. And it might be happening right now, because the biggest conspiracies do not work when everyone knows the plan. They work when almost nobody does. Let's get right to the point. Most people imagine conspiracies like a movie, a long black table, a bunch of powerful people whispering. One guy slowly turns around in a chair. Someone says, "Proceed." And then every single person involved knows the whole evil plan. That is the cartoon version. Real life is usually much more boring, and that makes it creepier. Real conspiracies do not need every person to understand the mission. They need systems, departments, paperwork, passwords, job titles, need-to-know information, and ordinary people who say, "That is not really my department." That phrase might be one of the most powerful tools in history, because once the world gets big enough, nobody has to know the whole thing. One person knows the shipment. One person knows the budget. One person knows the code name. One person knows the location. One person knows the public story. And everyone else? They know their shift starts at 8. That is how massive things happen. Not because thousands of people are keeping one big secret, but because thousands of people are each holding one tiny piece. Give one person a puzzle piece, and they see nothing. Give 10,000 people one puzzle piece each, and most of them still see nothing. But from above, the picture is perfectly clear. Starting with number 10, the worker with no map. One of the best examples of this is the Manhattan Project. During World War II, the United States built entire secret cities to create the atomic bomb. One of those places was Oak Ridge, Tennessee. But to many of the people working there, it did not feel like they were making history. It felt like a town. There were buses, dorms, cafeterias, shift schedules, machines, supervisors, rules, and thousands of workers who were told to do one specific thing without asking too many questions. Picture a young woman sitting in front of a giant wall of knobs and meters. Her job is not build an atomic bomb. Her job is watch this needle. If the needle moves, turn the dial. If the dial moves too far, call a supervisor. That is it. Day after day. Needle, dial, needle, dial. She might not know what uranium enrichment really means. She might not know where the material goes next. She might not know that her normal shift is connected to one of the most terrifying weapons ever created. And that is the point. The secret was not protected because nobody was involved. The secret was protected because almost everyone was involved in a tiny, meaningless-looking fragment. A giant secret does not always look like a locked door. Sometimes it looks like a time card. Next up is number 9, the fake army. Now take that idea from a secret factory to a battlefield. Before D-Day, the Allies had a problem. They needed to invade Europe. But if Germany knew exactly where the invasion was coming, the beaches could become a death trap. So the Allies did something strange. They created a fake reality. Operation Fortitude. Fake tanks, fake landing craft, fake radio traffic, fake troop movements, even fake armies. Imagine being a soldier assigned to guard a fake tank, not a real tank, an inflatable tank. Basically, a bouncy castle with military paperwork. You stand there in uniform, acting serious, guarding something that could probably lose a fight to a sharp branch. But from the sky? From a spy plane? From enemy intelligence reports? It looks real. And that was the point. The goal was not just to hide the truth. The goal was to build a second truth so convincing that the enemy reacted to it. One person sends fake radio messages. One person moves dummy equipment. One person draws fake plans. One person feeds fake information through the right channels. Each person does a job. Together, they create a world that does not exist. Sometimes deception is not about making people see nothing. Sometimes it is about making people see the wrong thing very clearly. Moving on to number 8, paperwork camouflage. A secretary processes a form, a lab orders supplies, a researcher writes a report, a university office receives funding. Everything looks normal, painfully normal. The kind of normal where the most suspicious object in the room is a printer that has said paper jam since Tuesday. Nobody's stapler opens up and says, "Congratulations, you are now adjacent to a classified program." But that is exactly why paperwork is such a powerful disguise. MKUltra and related CIA behavior control programs involved drugs, hypnosis, isolation, sensory deprivation, and unwitting subjects. And the disturbing part is not just what happened, It is how normal parts of the system could help it happen. A doctor might only see a study. A researcher might only see funding. An assistant might only see paperwork. A subject might not know the real sponsor at all. That is the camouflage. Not a black helicopter, not a villain monologue. A budget line with a boring name. Real secret programs can hide inside normal institutions because normal institutions already divide work into boxes. Everyone has a role, everyone has a lane, and almost nobody gets the whole map. Coming in at number 7, the restaurant kitchen conspiracy. Imagine a restaurant. One person chops onions, one person washes plates, one person takes orders, one person handles deliveries, and one guy keeps saying the printer is down, even though everyone knows he never checked. Now imagine the owner is doing crimes in the back office. The dishwasher does not automatically get handed the villain binder. The onion guy does not know what the accountant is hiding. The waiter does not know why one supplier is paid in weird little envelopes. Everyone is part of the business, but not everyone is part of the secret. That is how large organizations work. Departments, passwords, managers, vendors, policies, people who only see their lane. This is called compartmentalization. It means each person gets enough information to function, but not enough information to understand. And once you see this, you start seeing it everywhere. Corporations, military programs, intelligence agencies, organized crime, political campaigns, tech companies. A giant machine can feel completely normal from the inside because each person only touches one gear. The machine only looks suspicious after you zoom out. That is why the question is not always, how did so many people keep the secret? Sometimes the better question is, how many people were close to the secret and still never saw it? Now for number 6, the rotten company. Think about a company committing fraud. Most employees do not know. The receptionist answers phones. The sales guy sells the product. The accountant sees one spreadsheet. The intern makes copies. The graphic designer makes the brochure look trustworthy. The customer service team calms people down. And at the top, maybe a few people know the thing is rotten, but everyone else, they are just working. Then the company collapses, the news breaks, people lose jobs, customers lose money, and everyone asks the same question. How could so many people be involved? But they were not involved the way people imagine. They were involved the way most people are involved. Partially, blindly, normally. That is what makes large systems so strange. A person can help sell the lie without knowing it is a lie. A person can make the company look legitimate without knowing the foundation is cracked. A person can answer angry phone calls all day and still have no idea the real problem is 3 floors above them. A conspiracy without ordinary people is just a plan. Ordinary people are what turn plans into reality, not because they know, because they keep the machine moving. And then something changed. For most of history, large-scale deception needed buildings, offices, budgets, trucks, radio stations, men with stamps, people with clipboards. But the internet compressed the whole machine. Now, the factory is the platform. The delivery truck is the share button. The recruiter is the algorithm. And the unpaid worker is anyone bored enough to repost. That is when participation became almost invisible, because nobody feels like a propagandist when they are laughing. Moving on to number 5, the meme with a payload. This is where the modern world gets uncomfortable, because today you do not need inflatable tanks. You need a post. You need a meme. You need a fake account. You need a headline that makes people angry before they even read the article. You need one little idea that people spread because it feels good to spread it. A meme is not just a funny picture. A meme is a tiny delivery vehicle for an idea. It can carry a joke. It can carry a belief. It can carry disgust. It can carry suspicion. It can carry loyalty. It can make something serious feel ridiculous, or make something ridiculous feel serious. And the dangerous part is that people share memes with almost no resistance. Nobody opens a meme and says, "Before I laugh, let me consider the geopolitical consequences of this frog image." They just laugh. Then they send it to a friend. The friend sends it to a group chat. Someone posts it on a page. A creator reacts to it. Another creator explains it. A news site writes about the reaction. The algorithm notices engagement. Then, the idea is everywhere. At that point, who spread it? The person who made it? The people who shared it? The platform that amplified it? The creator who joked about it? The audience that rewarded it? The answer is uncomfortable. All of them. And also, maybe none of them. Next up is number 4, the troll farm that borrowed your thumb. The best propaganda does not look like propaganda. It looks like something your cousin posted with 6 laughing emojis. That is what makes online influence so powerful. Think of it like starting a rumor in a crowded school cafeteria. The first person says it quietly. The second person says, "Wait, seriously?" The third person says, "I heard this too." The fourth person says, everyone is talking about it, and once the rumor reaches that stage, the original liar can leave the building. The crowd will do the rest. Online, that process happens faster, louder, and with better lighting. A fake account does not need to convince everyone directly. It only needs to infect the first layer. After that, ordinary people do the distribution for free. A fake page posts an angry image. A real person sees it and thinks, finally, someone said it. So they share it. Another person reposts it to complain about it, which is adorable, because the image still got a ride. Another person argues in the comments. Another person screenshots the argument. Another person makes a video about how dumb everyone is. And suddenly, the original message has traveled much farther than the fake account ever could have pushed it alone. That is the multiplier. A troll farm can plant the seed, but regular people water it. They argue about it. They repost it. They quote it. They make fun of it. They make response videos. They turn it into culture. And culture is much harder to trace than propaganda, because once everyone is repeating something, it no longer feels like it came from anywhere. It just feels like what people are saying. And that might be the scariest phrase on the internet. What people are saying. Who are people? Where did they get it? And why did this specific idea rise to the top? Coming in at number 3, the quiz that drafted your friends. Now imagine something even less dramatic. Not a secret lab, not a fake army, not a spy account, a quiz. A person clicks a personality quiz to learn which sandwich matches their soul. Democracy was busy that day. The quiz looks harmless. A little button, a few questions, a cute result. You are a grilled cheese because you are loyal, but emotionally warm. Beautiful. Pulitzer-level sandwich science. But behind that silly little quiz, data can move. Your likes, your profile, your connections. Sometimes even information about people who never clicked the quiz at all. That is the uncomfortable upgrade in the digital world. Participation does not always mean joining something. Sometimes it means clicking. Sometimes it means being connected to someone who clicked. Sometimes it means leaving enough data crumbs behind that a system can build a useful picture of you anyway. You do not have to walk into the operation. Your profile can be drafted while you are finding out your sandwich sign. And again, most people involved feel innocent because most of them are innocent. They were not trying to join a political targeting machine. They were bored. They clicked a button. That is how modern systems get weird. A tiny action can become useful to people you will never meet. Almost there. Number 2, the algorithm that trains you. The algorithm does not care whether something is sacred, disgusting, tragic, or important. It cares whether people stop scrolling. That is it. If outrage works, it feeds you outrage. If jokes work, it feeds you jokes. If suspicion works, it feeds you suspicion. If a horrifying crime becomes a meme format, the machine does not pause and say, maybe this is spiritually damaging. It says, great engagement, and then shows it to more people. That is why the algorithm might be the closest thing modern society has to an invisible handler. Not because it has a human motive, but because it rewards behavior so consistently that humans begin shaping themselves around it. A creator posts something angry. It performs well, so next time, they post angrier. A user makes a dark joke. It gets likes, so next time, they go darker. A page posts a suspicious theory. People argue for days, so the page learns. More suspicion, more conflict, more engagement. Slowly, nobody has to give orders. The reward system does the training. That is how ordinary people get pulled into the machine, not with a contract, with feedback. Likes are tiny treats. Shares are tiny applause. Comments are tiny electric shocks to the nervous system. And before long, people are not just using the platform, they are being shaped by it. And finally, number 1, the scandal that became a punchline. This is where the whole thing gets darkest, because the internet does not just spread information, it changes the emotional temperature of information. Jeffrey Epstein was accused of horrific crimes involving real victims. Then he died in federal custody. The official investigations say his death was a suicide, and the DOJ Inspector General reported serious failures by prison staff, while also saying it found no evidence contradicting the FBI's finding that his death was not criminal. But millions of people still did not trust the story. And honestly, you can understand why the public reacted that way. A powerful criminal, powerful connections, a suspiciously convenient death, broken procedures, missed checks, falsified records. A story that felt too ugly and too important to end in a cell with nobody watching. That is exactly the kind of situation where distrust grows. And then the internet did what the internet always does. It turned the horror into content. At first, people were shocked. Then came jokes, then memes, then catchphrases, then merchandise, then comment sections, then reaction videos. Then people who barely understood the case knew the meme better than the crime. That is a strange thing, because the meme kept the story alive, but it also changed the emotional temperature. Everyone knew the name, but how many people still thought about the victims? That is the uncomfortable part. The internet can spread awareness and numbness at the exact same time. It can make a crime impossible to forget while making it easier to laugh at. And then there is the Palm Beach Pete situation. Not because it proves Epstein is alive. Not because a viral lookalike is automatically part of some operation. That would be a claim, and claims need proof. But as a thought experiment, it reveals something strange about the modern mind. A man who looks like Epstein goes viral. People laugh, people argue, people call him a doppelganger. He becomes a character, a joke, a public reference point. And from that moment on, the idea of someone saw Epstein alive is not just a claim. It is attached to a punchline. That matters. Because in the modern internet, an idea does not have to be disproven to become socially impossible to say. It can just become embarrassing. People do not want to look crazy. They do not want to be the person in the comments getting roasted. They do not want to be the guy pointing at a blurry photo saying, "No, seriously, zoom in." So the public learns a reflex. See possible lookalike. Laugh first, dismiss second, move on third. Again, that does not prove a plant, but it shows the effect. And sometimes the effect is the point. A lookalike does not have to be part of a plan to have an effect. That is the point. The internet does not need every outcome to be engineered. Sometimes it accidentally creates the same result that a manipulator would want. It turns uncertainty into a joke. It turns suspicion into a costume. It turns a serious question into something people are embarrassed to ask out loud. That is the modern information world. Some things are planned. Some things are organic, some things are accidents, some things are exploited after they happen, and from the outside, they can all start to feel the same. That is the real nightmare. Not that everything is fake, but that real, fake, joke, theory, scandal, meme, and marketing campaign all get blended together until the public cannot tell what emotional reaction they are supposed to have anymore. And that is where the video turns around. Because it is easy to watch a story about Oak Ridge and think, those poor workers had no idea. It is easy to watch Operation Fortitude and think, those soldiers were part of a brilliant deception. It is easy to hear about MKUltra and think, how could institutions let that happen? It is easy to hear about troll farms and think, how could people fall for fake accounts? But then you have to ask yourself, what have I helped spread? What joke did I repeat before understanding where it came from? What outrage cycle did I join because it felt good? What person did I dismiss because everyone else was laughing? What serious thing did I slowly stop caring about because the internet turned it into background noise? That is the real revelation. You may never work at a secret base. You may never meet an intelligence officer. You may never join a secret society. But if you have ever shared a meme, repeated a slogan, boosted a trend, joined a pile-on, or rewarded a post with your attention, you have participated in systems bigger than you can see. That does not mean everything is fake. It does not mean trust nobody. It does not mean every meme came from a government lab. That is too easy. The scarier truth is more ordinary. Most of the time, the machine does not need you to believe. It only needs you to react. It needs the laugh, the share, the comment, the angry response, the 10 seconds of watch time, the feeling that says, I know this is probably bad for me, but I need to see what people are saying. That is participation. That is the new battlefield. Not just land, not just sea, not just air, attention. And every day, billions of normal people walk onto that battlefield holding a phone, thinking they're just scrolling. Maybe the biggest secret is not that powerful people hide things from us. Maybe the biggest secret is that most of us are helping build things we cannot even see. And the next time you see a meme about something horrible, before you laugh and send it to someone, ask at least one question. What is this training me to feel? That does not mean you have to become paranoid. Paranoia is just another way to get controlled. It means you pause for 1 second before joining the current. Who benefits if I laugh at this? Who benefits if I get angry? Who benefits if I repeat this before I understand it? Who benefits if I stop caring? That tiny pause might be the closest thing to freedom the internet gives you, because sometimes the conspiracy is not hidden behind the meme. Sometimes the meme is how the conspiracy travels. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.